me 6. And then 3 times 6 gives me 18 times m cubed. So I've simplified the number. I can't, pull out any perfect squares out of 10. The smallest perfect square is going to be 4, and 4 doesn't go into 10 an integer number of times. And then I have 9. 9 doesn't go in there either. So that doesn't work. So 10 is as simple as it's going to get. The last thing I need to deal with is the m cubed. And maybe I'll just do this on the side here. If I have m cubed and it's under a radical sign, that's kind of like saying, what is the square root of m cubed? So this is m to the power of 3 over 2. Flowers the power, roots the root. If I had m squared over 2 and m to the power of 1 over 2, I could just change this to m to the 1 and m to the 1 over 2. This is where it gets kind of confusing. Now, in the course, it just said, how many powers can you get it to just m squared? So if I had m squared, the square root of m squared is just going to give me m. The square root of anything squared is just going to give me whatever it is. So the way that the course talked about it, and I didn't really do a great job of this, I'll admit, we'll go m squared times m to the power of 1, or just m. I'm going to break it up into squareds. So the more, if I had something like m to the square root of m to the 6, well, I could just say, okay, that's m squared times m squared times m squared, and I would just end up with m times m, which is going to be m cubed. So the square root of m to the 6 is m cubed. I guess what I'm getting at here is that the square root of m squared is just going to give me m, so I can now pull it out of the radical. So I'm left with 10m. So exponents under radical signs, if you can get it to a squared, then that means you can pull it out. And remember, when I have exponents and I'm multiplying them, I can just add them. So that the 2 here and the 1 together gives me what I had above, which was the 3. These don't come up a lot, but I guess they can. The exponents part. Okay. I guess I'll go with the m to the 6 that I had here. So if I had the square root of m to the power of 6, I could write that as m to the power of 6 over 2. Are we all right with that? Okay, what is 6 divided by 2? Well, that's just m to the power of 3. So the square root of m to the 6 is equal to m to the 3. I'm happy with that because it's an even number, it works out nicely. What if I had an odd number like m to the power of 3? Let's look at this m to the 6 again. I could write that as the square root of m squared times m squared times m squared. What is the square root of anything squared? Well, it's just itself. So this would be m times m times m, which is m cubed, which is what I had up here. Now I have the same thing here. So when I have even numbers, it works out nicely, but when I have an odd number, I run into problems. Let's go the square root of x to the 7. Now I can rewrite this as x to the 7 over 2, but 7 isn't divisible by 2, so I don't end up with some nice happy number. So what I can do is say, okay, I can write this x to the 7 as x to the 2 times x to the 2 times x to the 2. There's 6 times x. Now I know if I write these things individually, the square root of x squared, square root of x squared, square root of x squared, square root of x, the square root of x squared is just going to give me x. This is going to give me x. This is going to give me x. And I can't do anything here. So I'm going to get x to the cubed times the square root of x. So the square root of x to the 7 is going to be x cubed times x. I didn't spend a lot of time on it in class because I didn't really think it was that important. And it has come up a few times in the learning guides, but I don't really recall seeing it on provincial exams often. So it is what it is. If you kind of get it, awesome. If you're struggling with it, then not the end of the world. I think that was it for Taylor's question. I did it and another. Is there anything else from this learning guide that we're having issues with? Any topics just in general? Any questions you were struggling with? Obviously, we don't have class tomorrow because it's Friday and everyone's going to come cross-country skiing. When we were cross-country skiing, we were on this trail and there's this big hill that we were about to go down, and we were kind of just waiting because these two trails merged. And there's this man skiing on this lower trail, and I was standing next to the instructor and I said, "The guy looks kind of a little bit older. How old do you think he is?" And the instructor said, "Oh, he's in his 80s. I kid you not, there was a man in his 80s just, out for a nice leisurely cross-country ski. So if you're worried that it's like going to be too difficult for you, if somebody in their 80s can do it, you can do it. We're going to have a bunch of different groups of people, different skill levels. Well, if you want to go race around, you can do that with Mr. Fender. And if you want to just dawdle, maybe you can come with me. And, if you can make a go of it, it's really fun, and all ages can do it. And Mrs. Ward and Mrs. Wood take their kids cross-country skiing, and they're, I think, 6 and 7. And then there was this 80-plus-year-old man doing it. So it's great, even to just get outside for a little bit, even if you only do one run. Be fun. That's my little cross-country skiing rant for the day. Schoolwork, dance practice. Schoolwork can wait. The slope of the hill. That would have been great. We should do that. We could get measuring tapes and clinometers. That'd be fun. Don't give me any ideas, Avery, because I will do it. Make you guys go to Telemark and calculate the steepness of the hills. 4D on page 2. I think we're on page 2. 4D. Okay. So before I do anything on this question, I want to simplify my radicals because it's going to make my life easier. So I'll start with the top. I have the 8. I'm just going to leave it as 8. Are there any perfect squares that go into 20? Well, 20 is going to be 4 times 5. And on the bottom, 16. 16 is a perfect square, is it not? I think 4 times 4 is 16, so I can take the square root of 16 and get 4. Yeah, makes sense. So on the top I have 8. The square root of 4 is going to give me 8 times 2, root 5. And on the bottom I have 16 times 4. 16 times 4, is that 64? It is 64. So on the top I have 16, root 5. On the bottom I have 64. Now, is there anything common between 16 and 64? Yeah, 16 goes into 16 once. 16 goes into 64 4 times. So I end up with root 5 over 4. And root 5 has no perfect squares that will divide into it an integer number of times, so I'm just going to leave it as root 5. I can't simplify it any further. I have this 4 on the bottom. There's nothing I can do about that. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I like the sound of this unschooling. I guess it's kind of maybe like project-based learning, getting out and experiencing it and finding applications of math and things like that. That's good. Maybe we'll do some of that. Moving forward, not in math, but maybe like science or something. Anything else you had questions about? It's an extreme version of homeschooling. There are programs, there's one in Vernon where students, it's like an outdoor academy, so they do things like cross-country skiing, climbing, and then when they're out in the wilderness rock climbing or something, the teacher will be like, okay, we're going to write an English essay about the view from here, the process of learning how to rock climb, and everything's kind of built on this outdoor sort of kind of adventure activities. I don't know if it exists anymore. I think it might have closed down, but it ran for a long time. And you do your English out in the wilderness, and then science, you'd be like, okay, we're going to talk about ecosystems today, and you'd look at the trees and how they die, and then the decomposers eat it and turns it to dirt, and then you can talk about nutrient cycles being like outside. So it was a really, really cool program. More programs are starting to develop like that, especially in the States, but we don't have anything like that, unfortunately, here, because I would love to teach in a school like that. It'd be a lot of fun. Nobody has any additional questions? We have a few minutes left, maybe like 10. If nobody has questions, I might just call her a day. I will remind you guys, all the few of you that are here, that we will be Monday morning, 9 o'clock. We have this math kind of final exam midterm. So make sure you're there, Central Gym. Show up a few minutes early, like 5 to 9 or whatever will be fine. And you can do that. The exam, I'm almost finished. It's going to be 35 questions, multiple choice. And then I think we're going to do 5 questions written. So that's going to kind of be the exam. So the multiple choice, it'll be just like the last time. Yeah, you can bring your learning guide in, so you don't need to upload it and submit it. If you don't want to, if you just bring it in with you and give it to me, I can just look at it real quick while we're at the exam on Monday morning. And yeah, it's 35 questions. I think 30 of the questions are from chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then there's about 5 questions that are from the first 4 chapters. So I think everything's there. I will have a formula sheet for you. I will have the test printed out for you. You will only need to bring yourself, a implement to write with, and a calculator. And Taylor, I will email that password for the online version to your mom, Taylor, so you can write it down at the coast. Avery, that sounds really cool. I know KSS has something similar. They have an outdoor ed class, and they do things like that. They'll go snow caving in the winter and canoeing in the summer and stuff. So there are some pretty interesting electives. I think we try to, kind of emulate that with our Friday activities. We give you a broad variety of things like fencing and archery and, go to cross-country ski. So we're trying to give you exposure to a lot of things. I think we do some badminton coming up next. I love badminton so much. Such a fun game. Are there any other questions before we end for the day? Alex is happy about either the weekend or the midterm coming up. He's very excited. Very excited. I'll have everything for you. Just show up, bring the learning guide if you have it done. If you want to submit it online, that's fine. I won't see you. Hopefully I see you tomorrow, though, for skiing. Mystery school, where you school around, what you enjoy. Yeah, that'd be cool. Field trips so good with this program. I do like the field trips. I do enjoy getting outside on Fridays, even if it's just out of the school into a building. Alex is asking, do we have English or ADC planning next? I'm not sure. Let's go check the front page of the course. see what it says. January 11th to 15th. Today is the 14th. It looks like you have nothing. Did I see that correctly? 11, math, 9, 10, 20. Yeah, I guess you just need to continue. Oh, I'm standing in front of it. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Right, so it looks like, yeah, there's nothing. So I think what Mrs. Wood said yesterday was, you know, if you have ADC assignments to submit, get them in. If you have any English assignments to submit, get them done. If not, I would recommend spending the next few minutes to maybe continue finishing off your learning guide, or you could go over the provincial exam that I gave you. I mean, you've set aside this time in the morning, you might as well use it to get some schoolwork done, whatever that may be. So that's it. I have a couple minutes just to kill. So next week, we are having our midterm on Monday. I'll finish going through the exam that I started last day. I'll finish going over that on Tuesday and Wednesday. It only leaves 3 more classes before the end, and then you guys are ready to write your provincial. So if you're having issues with any questions and you need to ask questions or whatnot, just write me an email. We can find time to meet next week or whatnot. I want to make sure you guys have everything under control going into this provincial exam. So if you're running into issues even next week, at the end of the week, just send me an email and we can go from there. When do we start science? It's a good question. I think we start on February, let's bring up my little calendar here. Probably the provincial exam week is 25, 26, 27, 28, and then 29 is the official start of term 2 or semester 2. I don't know when we're going to start classes. Maybe the Monday the 1st of February. So that's when we're going to start science. Do we have any classes exam week? No, Abby, you don't have any classes on exam week. I'm going to make myself available. Well, this little slide comes up behind me here. This is what exam week looks like. So you have your English exam on Tuesday. You have my Math 10 exam on Wednesday afternoon. I'll make myself available on Monday and Tuesday, maybe, if you have any questions, stuff that needs to be looked at. But yeah, you don't have class at all that week. We are going to go cross-country skiing again on the 29th as kind of a wrap-up for January. And that's kind of it. So that's what the next couple weeks look like. Heck, that's looking forward 3 weeks. That's a long time into the future. I don't even know what I'm having for dinner tonight, let alone 3 weeks from now, but that's kind of what we have. So if I don't see you tomorrow, you guys have been doing so well on these tests. Don't stress out about this midterm on Monday. It's going to be really similar to the one we did before. Just show up, write the test, do your best. You guys are going to do great. And then we'll just kind of focus on reviewing things you need to learn. And there you go. That's a good idea, Alex. Chicken Caesar. I like chicken Caesar. So everyone, have a great weekend, and we will see you bright and early Monday morning, live and in person, Central Gym, 9 a.m. Goodbye.